Deputy Minister Nocawe, thank you so much for your time. My first question is, I know that you engage a lot with women in sport. What are some of the issues that are faced by those that you talk to?
Thank you very much, Shoni, and good afternoon and happy Women's Day to you and the viewers at home. And let me first take this opportunity, Shoni, to actually, say a word of prayer for the families of those that have lost their loved ones through gender-based violence and through COVID-19, which is ravaging the country right now. And wish everybody that is in hospital a speedy recovery. Now, with the question that you have asked, women in sports are being challenged by a lot of things, but one that is uppermost in my mind is the issue of, sexual harassment, which is rife in all workplaces, but also the issue of discrimination on sponsorship. We all know that sponsorship of women's sports is struggling as compared to the sponsorship of men in general. But also the lack of support in general. Even though there's an improvement, but there's still a lot that still needs to be done.
And Deputy Minister, of the three things that you have mentioned, why is it important for you to back women in sport?
Look, it's important to back women in everything. Let's start there, not only in sport, in everything, because we know now that women, they have always been the backbone of any development, of any liberation. We know now that as we are here celebrating the National Women's Day, we are on the shoulders of those that have started long before us. We are celebrating 64 years now today since the march in 1956 because they saw the need that they have to fight against any kind of oppression against women. Therefore, supporting women in any area is critical because when you have women that have made and are able to move forward, you are then, in a way, very good in making sure that there's development in the country. To come in sport in general, you know that women are doing well in sports. I don't even need to tell you that right now, Banyana, they have done much better than Bafana Bafana. That we know for a fact. But recently, at the beginning of the year, I was in Australia with the national team of Pretoria cricket women, and we all know that they were in the top 5, in that match. Yet, despite all that, the support that they have is much lower than their men counterpart. But despite that, they are doing very well. So if we are able to support them, you can imagine how well they would do. You know that the netball team in South Africa, it didn't have a lot, it doesn't even have a professional league as yet. But it is in the top 4 in the world. So supporting women's sport will actually put the country in a very good state because it will even turn the economic growth of this country if we actually put our money where our...
And Deputy Minister, how do we close the gap? I'm not sure if you can hear us because we've lost your picture. Deputy Minister, can you still hear us?
I can hear you, Shoni.
Okay,
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Perfect. So how do we close that gap? I know this year's theme is Generation Equality, realizing women's rights for an equal future. You talk about sponsorship. How do we narrow the gap and how do we get the interest up for women's sport?
First of all, I think both as government and as private sector, we really need to commit in making sure that we support women's sport with everything that we have. Because it is not even for them that we would be doing that. We will be doing it for the country. But secondly, I think one of the things that we as government can do well on is to make sure that, the policy on women in sport is developed as quick as possible. which will then also assist in making sure that they are protected in some of the areas that they don't have protection on right now. And by doing that, you would also be able to have the comfort of making sure that sponsors would then be able to come and understand that there is that relationship that needs to be built between government and themselves. But federations, Hloni, federations need to do more in terms of making sure that women in sport gets all the support that it can, so that we are able to have the comfort of knowing that when these women go out there to represent the country, we are comfortable in knowing that no one is going to say they didn't have all the support. If they fail, they must fail not because they did not have enough support. They must fail because the competition was too stiff or the conditions didn't allow, not because the country didn't support them.
Well, thank you very much, Deputy Minister. We do have to leave it there, but you have made a challenge to federations that govern our sports people to do better for women in sport. Thank you so much for your time, Deputy Minister.